jet flying son of a gun, and I'm having a hard time holding these alligators.
You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, willing dealing, limo jet flying. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. We Rick flaring on us. You talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, willing dealing, limo jet flying. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. It's apparent these girls staring. I'm Rick flaring, gold across my chest. I'm fresh to death, I'm Paul Bearing, not at all scary. One eye open like Betty Wops and fine to these circles that's going in like a carry shot. Woo! I'm going in like a Mary Pop off that Mary crop at the top flow at the Marriott. So questioning me is like questioning you. See, we the best dressed, so come and get blessed with the crew. Not one but two, different ways to slaughter your crew. Committed tat across the chest, I guess she blessed with the truth. People want to see them checks, representation of proof. Living through my elders, trying to resonate to the youth. But ain't nothing to get my flash on. Longevity is heavily embedded in my melanin. Layman terms, I last long. My grind repetitive, I'm smoother than real silk. Lyrical cash cow, who can't cry over spilled milk. We in here. You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, willing dealing, limo jet flying. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. We Rick flaring on us. You talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, willing dealing, limo jet flying. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. This ain't no normal situation, this preparation with greatness. Industry full of fakeness, it's really up for the taking. See, life is what happened to you, more so how you take it. Don't get stripped of your knowledge and mentally leave you naked. I like to live otherwise. I'm sorry that I'm fresh to death. I put the polo and apologize. See, black son, we ain't nothing like the mother guys. Quit to socialize, we organize, then we mobilize. Off the deep end like a scuba diver. And no confusion, just keep it pushing like Uber drivers. Woo! Business fresh just like a supervisor in a Gucci visor. Can't find a smoother rhymer. You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, willing dealing, limo jet flying. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. We Rick flaring on us. You talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, willing dealing, limo jet flying. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us. We Rick flaring on us, flaring on us.
Yeah, DQ baby. Shout out that boy Nigga for that fire track. Hey, Black Sun, sun up. What's up, Vinny Vegas? What in Vegas? Yeah. Shout out Pharaoh's Kids, D-Phase, yeah, Bubba C, yeah, Rick flaring on them, Rick flaring on them, Rick flaring on them, Rick flaring, sun up, baby.
Hey, yo, Scotty, you going crazy for this one. We see what you're doing, we salute you. Hey, let's get it started. It's Backpack, Capital One. What's in your wallet? Got a call from my man A. Scott. I said I got it. Love that you highlighting all of these black colleges. Try to pay me for doing this. Look, bruh, if you don't get off my line with that foolishness, voice of the swag, pull up where you at. No cap if the Brody is speaking the soft facts. My advice, tune in to every show. Captain Petty, but we know that the sergeant with the smoke. Speculate, just tell me what is we doing. Get into it, okay, look, I'ma say this and keep it moving. My boy Scotty, man, he offered the leash. Black grad, paying college, I'm glad that he called me. Walk it, cause we all been taught that talk is cheap. Even primetime no Scott for the HBCU streets.
What is going on? We're back. Happy Tuesday. You already know what it is. Listen, if you haven't checked out the last show, it was hot. Okay, talking Magic City Classic, talking contracts as we do here on the channel. You already know what it is. Very, very. Listen, had a lot of people on both sides of the aisle hit me up. You know, some people agree, some people disagree, but that's life. You know what I'm saying? But that's life at the end of the day. So just things to make you think about. Just things to make you think about. Right? Now listen, as you can tell, first of all, if you haven't noticed, if you don't know by now on Offscript, if you're new, old, young, whatever, anybody can get it over here. Okay? Anybody can get it over here. No homo. Okay? There is no preference. High, low. I don't give two shits. If I saw stephenASmith in his face, I'll tell him the same exact thing I'm about to say on my channel. Okay? It don't matter to me. At the end of the day, my mom always said, they put their pants on just like you. So what is there to really fear? All right? Because a lot of people be like, oh, he's a celebrity. Oh, Scotty, why? Listen, I don't care, bro. Right is right and wrong is wrong. People call me out all the time. I'm going to call people out. That's just, when you're a public figure, that's the name of the game. That just is what it is. Love it, hate it. It's just what it is, right? So stephenASmith had said some things. I have the video. I'm going to pull the clip up, right? And we're going to talk about it right after the bumper. I'm sorry. That was, if you know, you know. Okay. If you know, you know. Okay. I apologize. That I'm sorry. I don't know. I kind of underhanded that one. I kind of underhanded. Anyway, all right. Oh man. I'm sorry. I don't know why I did that. I apologize. If you know, you know. Anyway, continuing on, right? So I'm gonna play the video of stephenASmith and his commentary, and we're gonna talk about it. All right. So listen, here we go. All right.
Last year, they had a problem with this spring football game getting 2,500 people to show up. This weekend, Primetime sold out the damn place. 45,000 people showed up. We got people hating on him all the time. Oh, he should have stayed at the HBCU longer. He shouldn't have used them to catapult his career and all of this other stuff they chirping about. Shut the hell up. When he was at Jackson State, he did his job. He won football games, brought attention to his program, and never hesitated to bring attention to HBCUs and the needs that they had in order to elevate the profiles of historically black colleges and universities across this country. Imagine what opportunities that potentially will open up for African-American coaches coaching at HBCUs now. Because if Primetime goes and all of a sudden he puts Colorado in a national championship picture, what about the next great HBCU coach? He's opening up the doors of opportunities for future African Americans who want to coach on the highest levels. Think about the big picture. There isn't a black person alive that should not be rooting for primetime Deion Sanders to succeed. Because whether it's his intent or not, it will open up doors for all of us. Do you understand that the Georgia Bulldogs are the reigning defending national champions? Colorado was 1-11 last year. And Colorado, because of primetime Deion Sanders, was on ESPN, and Georgia was on ESPN too.
Listen, it took everything in me not to stop the video and break it down. I wanted you guys to hear it in its entirety. So when I replay it and I stop it and go, you kind of already got the gist of what this thing is. Let me just say this, right? When I heard this sounds like a white person telling a black person all you needed to do was comply. If you just comply, everything will be okay. Or a white person saying, Well, I pulled myself up by my bootstraps. You should do the same. When you got a head start in the race, you got a head start in the race. And once again, this is why people say that Max Kellerman was blacker than Stephen A. Smith. It's comments and things like this where you're just speaking out because you're a fan of Deion Sanders. Because you're a fan. You're not taking the pure logic of what you're saying and says, does this make sense? Does this make sense? What I'm saying doesn't make sense. And once again, the thing that makes me so upset, and it's what every other HBCU alum says, is I'm not wrong because I went to an HBCU. Because that's what he's going to fall back on. I went to a HBCU. I want to see HBCUs grow. Now, what's funny to me is I rarely see you with Winston-Salem State University stuff on. Not a pin, not a tie. You know what I'm saying? Not the red and white. No. You should be repping 24/7, in my opinion. Because when I watch PTI and the white man on PTI, he always got a Canada helmet. He always flying the Canada flag because he's Canadian. And to be on such a public platform, because I really want y'all to think about this. When First Take first started and they made their run, right? You knew, he went to Johnson C. Smith. He went to Johnson C. Smith. All right. I think he went to Johnson C. Smith for basketball, then transferred to Winston-Salem State, right? But my thing is, even when it first started his run, you rarely saw him rep. And when I mean rep, I'm not talking about going to interviews and tell people I'm at HBCU. I'm not talking about that, right? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like wearing a pin, wearing the colors, wearing, what I'm saying? Like rocking it, like really rocking it. But that's neither here nor there, right? But at the end of the day, he is going to say that. I went to an HBCU. But I'm going to play this again. And I'm going to stop it and pause it at the problems that I have with this statement. And we're going to dive into it a little deeper, right? Here we go.
Last year, they had a problem with this spring football game getting 2,500 people to show up. This weekend, primetime sold out the damn place. 40.
That's called the prime time. That's called the prime effect, okay? That's called now he does. He's been doing that for like the last 3 years, maybe 3 or 4 years. The show been going on for like 9 to 10. Sit your ass down.
45,000 people showed up. We got people hating on him all the time. Oh, he should have stayed at the HBCU longer.
Okay, nobody is hating on Deion that he should have stayed at the HBCU longer. Okay, it's been noted, it's been said over and over. It's not that he left, it's how he left. And then after all the stuff that he was spewing, that he left, right? We understand in business, right? We understand in business and life and jobs, if you get a chance to upgrade and get a promotion, congratulations, right? But the issue is the things he was saying, and it's how he left the program is why people have such an issue with what he left. Nobody has a problem with Deion Sanders going to get his money. Okay? Nobody has a problem. Because if you have a problem with Deion Sanders leaving HBCUs and getting money, that's on you. Okay? That's a personal problem with you. Because if you work in a job right now and you're getting paid $60,000 and you tell your boss, man, I love you, man. I love this company. I love the atmosphere. I love the people here. I love it. Oh, man, I couldn't imagine myself being nowhere else. And then another company comes and offers you $120,000. It's been real. I'm out this piece. Holla. See y'all at Christmas. Call me. Hit me up on Twitter. You got my Instagram. Stop playing. Stop playing. Everybody and their mama would take the job. So shut up. You're lying to yourself. You're being a fan, right? And you're not being realistic. You're not being logical. If anybody came to you right now and said, I would double your salary if you go to this job, you'd be like, you said it's in Timbuktu? I mean, I just give me a jacket. You know, I just carry a bottle of water. Oh, you said it's in North Dakota? I've been waiting to wear a North Face. I've been waiting to wear a North Face. I love a good thick jacket. Oh, you say it's in Oregon? I love trees. Matter of fact, I've been wanting to see the Nike factory since the beginning. I've been waiting to see the Nike campus. Stop playing. You're lying to yourself. Okay? So once again, I say, nobody had a problem. Real people, real logical people did not have a problem with Deion going to go get a bag. No matter how mad you can say, oh, Scotty, oh, you know, he didn't need the money. He didn't this, he didn't that. Come on, man. Stop playing. Stop it.
He shouldn't have used them to catapult his career and all of this other stuff they chirping about. Shut the hell up. When he was at Jackson State, he did his job. He won football games, brought attention to his program, and never hesitated to bring attention to HBCUs.
Of course he's going to bring attention to his program. He's freaking Deion Sanders. That's like you going back to Winston-Salem State and becoming the head of the news department, right? Or the journalism department. You're going to get kids to come to Winston-Salem State. Why? Because stephenASmith is the head chair of the journalism department. You have a following. You have a name. You're going to bring attention no matter what. And this is Deion freaking Sanders we're talking about. So he was going to bring attention regardless, good or bad. It did not matter. He was Deion freaking Sanders. Come on, man. Stop it.
And the needs that they had in order to elevate the profiles of historically black colleges and universities across this country. Imagine what opportunities that potentially will open up for African-American coaches coaching at HBCUs now.
This is the most asinine statement out the whole damn video. This right here. Oh my God. Like when I heard this, I said, this dude just really be out here talking. I'm going to play that again.
Universities across this country. Imagine what opportunities that potentially will open up for African-American coaches coaching at HBCUs now. Because if primetime goes and all of a sudden he puts Colorado in a national championship picture, what about the next great HBCU coach?
Bro, are you seriously comparing Deion Sanders to any other black head coach that will be coming out? I don't give a damn if a coach goes 3 straight years in the SWAC, undefeated. There's no possible way that what Deion Sanders is and is doing is going to, what? There's no way Deion Sanders can help the regular Joe Smo, because the regular Joe Smo is not going to change a program's energy level overnight. There's not a coach in the SWAC that if you took them out the SWAC and put them at Colorado, that they are selling out the spring game. It's not one coach in Colorado. It's not one coach in the SWAC right now that can do that. You are literally comparing a superstar to a regular Joe Schmo coach in the SWAC. And I don't give a damn how much winning they've been doing. It's not possible. It's not even logical to even put that on somebody. Oh, if Prime goes and he does well. No, listen, Mr. Campbell says this all the time to me. He said, I would never wish a black man to fail, right? I would never wish a black man to fail, right? My thing is this. At some point in time, you got to understand that the ball in the court is not being played the same, right? Dion has got the shot to go from Jackson to Colorado, 1, because of the prime effect, 2, because of the winning, and 3, because of the recruiting. And if I was putting those in order, it would go winning, because if you ain't winning, you ain't doing nothing. Then the prime effect, then recruiting, right? Because if he was losing at Jackson State, all this is for naught. He doesn't never leave Jackson if he doesn't win, right? So you win. Then when you win, you add the prime effect. And then with the prime effect, you add recruiting. So it just doesn't make any sense what you're saying. It doesn't. You sound like a fanboy right now. Oh, Dion's going to help everybody. No, he's not. Dion is going to be Dion, because no president or AD is going to ask another coach to, can you do what Prime did? Hell no, I ain't Prime. Do I look like Prime? I ain't Prime. What kind of shit is this?
Baby, who is Swag?
Who is Swag? Continue.
He's opening up the doors of opportunities for future African Americans who want to coach on the highest levels. Think about the big picture.
The big picture is this is what sets me to freak off, right? Because nobody wanted to say anything. It opened. You want to talk about a big picture, Stephen A. Smith? You want to talk about a big picture? Now tell me this. Since we talking big picture, how, if we talking big picture, that the guy that you said is going to open all the doors for everybody else, why does he have 2 white men as his coordinators? Explain that to me, fanboy. Explain that to me, fanboy. You're just talking out your ass. How is Dion if he's supposed to be such a cataclysmic change, why doesn't his staff represent that change? Is there anybody else? There's no other black. The NFL, since we want to talk about it, the NFL is 70 to 75% black. You telling me no former players could have been hired on as the DC? No, you couldn't have reached out to Eric Bieniemy, come back to Colorado to be an OC? Maybe, maybe not. You know what I'm saying? Is there not any other black head coaches in the world that you could have hired? See, the funny thing is, I was saying this shit when he was at Jackson. I was saying this when he was at Jackson. My message has never changed. When he was at Jackson and he brought that white boy, Brett Bartolone, Mike Leach little boy, right, to Jackson, I said, there ain't nobody. I said, damn, there ain't other black guys. Nobody in Jackson had a problem with it. Everybody in Jackson, oh, Scotty, you a hater. Oh, Scotty, we about winning football games. See, it's real funny to me when you want to talk about the culture and when you don't. Because when you was riding high, nobody had a problem with the white boy walking in the office. I said, yo, he couldn't find a black brother. He couldn't find nobody black to be an OC. Nobody? I said that. All the other Jackson State alums, oh, Scotty, I don't see no problem with that. Oh, you know, we just out here to win. We just out here to win. We good with it. We good with a little white man. It's just funny to me, man. It's funny to me. It's just funny. funny to me. So I'll say this. How is the person that you're bigging up, how is he supposed to open and give opportunities to black head coaches when he's not even willing to?
All participants are muted.
When he's not even willing to hire black men or women, because there are women coaches out there, black men or women in the highest positions on his own football staff, because we all understand how this game is played. We all understand how this game is played. You move up and matriculate through the season if you're the new hotshot OC or the new hotshot DC. How did Kirby Smart get the job at Georgia? He wasn't the offensive analyst. He wasn't the offensive quality control. He wasn't the wide receiver coach. He wasn't the damn defensive coordinator. That's how this game is played. The boy from Clemson who got the job at Oklahoma, he wasn't the DB coach. He was the defensive coordinator in Oklahoma when it got him. That's how this game is played. The next new hotshot at OC or DC becomes the next head coach. So if you're not putting... Listen, right? In communities, and it's funny to me because in communities, we as black people say we have to be twice as good to get half as much, right? And you're always trying to, like, I remember I talked to a lot of HBCU alums and they said, Scotty, the reason that I loved my HBCU is because when the teachers were teaching me, they knew that I was the future of whatever that they were doing, right? So whatever they were pouring into them, they knew that they were going to be the future and carry on whatever, and they knew how hard it was going to be, right? But you give everything you can to your students so that one day they become in a position that you couldn't get to, and then they reciprocate that and they pass that knowledge on to somebody else, or they help the next man, or so forth and so on, right? So to me, you would think it's not about him being... And he's already been a head coach. He was already a head coach, right? It's not about having black staffers. It's not about that. It's not about that. I don't give a damn how much money Dancy is making as a quality control. Listen, man. Anyway, I don't care. Whatever. However you want to flip it, take that somewhere else, right? What I'm saying to y'all is this. When you're the head guy and you're able to make the moves, why are you not putting our people in position, right? Because we would be upset if we felt as though that a white man was overlooking a talented black man to be put in that position, because we know how this game is played. Everybody knows how this game is played. It's not what you know, it's who you know. It's not what you know, it's who you know, right? And what this feels like for me is this. It goes back to the old NFL. Black people were good enough to run the ball. Black people were good enough to play defensive back. Black people were good enough to play D-line. But quarterback? Oh, no, you can't do that. Be a head coach? No, you can't do that. Be a GM? No, you can't be that. Be an owner? No, you can't be that. Can't be that. You're good enough to be the quality control guy. You're good enough to be the wide receiver coach. You're good enough to be the DB coach. You're good enough to be the D-line coach. You're good enough to be the offensive line coach. But not good enough to be the OC. Not good enough to be the DC. But he's supposed to open the door for all black people, though. All right. Okay. Got it. So I'm gonna play you this video because I feel like it correlates. I'm gonna play you a video of Stephen A. Smith saying something about the NFL. We'll see how you guys feel about it.
Take into consideration what I'm looking at. I applaud the job that Matt LaFleur has done in Green Bay. But he was the offensive coordinator of the 27th ranked offense in the National Football League when he got the job. There is a guy in Arizona by the name of Cliff Kingsbury. He was under 500 in college football and got a head coaching job. Today, we are talking about a wide receivers coach who has never even been a coordinator in the National Football League. And he's now going to be the head coach in the media capital of the world for a New York Giants franchise. And there are 3 African-American head coaches in the National Football League. There is Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh. The man's won 65% of his games and has never had a losing season. There is Anthony Lynn, who struggled this year because Phillip Rivers ain't what he once was. But he was in the divisional playoff round last year. He's the reason Lamar Jackson went home early, okay? And Brian Flores is in Miami coaching a team that none of us thought would win a damn game. We were actually having a debate as to whether or not this would be the worst team in the history of the National Football League. And the man won 5 games, including 2 playoff teams he beat this year. He actually beat more playoff teams this year than the Buffalo Bills did.
And was a coordinator.
Okay? And was coordinator, okay? But for some reason, there is a Rooney Rule in place, and still this kind of stuff is happening. I want to announce on national television that I personally am going to take it upon myself, whether it's to communicate with the NFL league office, whether it's to communicate with owners, whether it's to sit up here and raise holy hell, whether it's to recruit my contemporaries in this business to address it. We got a problem. This is some BS. Ain't no way around this. We moving in a reverse direction. We moving in a reverse direction. Black men are not being treated fairly in the National Football League. Somebody got to say it. Somebody got to say it. You got to be kidding me. When the stuff that has happened over the last year, for this stuff to go on and we just gonna sit up here and have a sports conversation. No, I ain't having no damn sports conversation at this particular moment. Something wrong. Now, the National Football League or somebody else, we got to change this Rooney Rule. It's bogus, clearly, because it's being bypassed. The original intent, what it was intended to produce, is being circumvented. And black men in the National Football League are being ostracized from key positions in the National Football League. Somebody bypassed. The original intent, what it was intended to produce, is being circumvented. And black men in the National Football League are being ostracized from key positions in the National Football League. Somebody.
So you have a problem with black men being ostracized for key positions in the NFL. But a black man who is the head coach of a Power 5 program hired 2 white men as OC and DC for his program that is supposed to open up opportunities for other black head coaches. Sounds about right. Sounds about right. Hey, caller 4648 coming to you.
Yo, Scotty, man, it's Tank again, man.
What's up, Tank?
You hitting them hard again. I got some points I want to touch on. First thing is Stephen A is a fanboy, and he overlooks some critical things. First thing is Deion Sanders didn't qualify for majority of the coaching job, college coaching jobs that he probably wanted before Jackson State because he didn't have a college degree. He ended up getting that degree, as we all know, from Talladega, HBCU. Now, once he got that, he still bypassed HBCU coaches who was applying for the job who already had degrees, but they gave him a shot. Now, every HBCU coach don't have access to Roger Goodell to have his nephew on your coaching staff, on your team as a linebacker. He had Dennis Thurman as his D coordinator at Jackson State. Took him to Colorado, but didn't make him his D coordinator. So I don't know what Stephen A's missing that. Stephen A, he really want to just help sell a narrative. Now, keep in mind, Stephen A works for ESPN. He works for Disney, really fight for his job himself. He's not independent like Roland Martin. Even though I think Roland kind of sided with Prime leaving, he's not independent, so he can't sell his own individual narratives. But the one thing that keep pointing out in my head is they want to keep keep access to the HBCU fan base for Prime. They want that fan base to transfer over, and they want us to accept this narrative so that everyone transfer over eventually over to the Colorado fan base. And the one thing HBCU should do is keep them out. Keep them out your camps. Prime's not coming to your camp to recruit for HBCU. He's probably going to try to take them to Colorado. But, yeah, man, Scotty, I'm sorry. You know I'm long-winded, but, man, appreciate you on this
No, you
topic,
good, bro. No, I appreciate the call in as always, man. No, you good with me. Hey, man, appreciate it.
All right, peace.
Listen, right? Two things can be true. Is Deion giving people life-changing money that are black? Absolutely. Absolutely. Two things can be true, right? I'm not dismissing the fact of Deion not putting guys in better positions financially, right? I've never said that. What the argument is that the biggest jobs, the biggest opportunity on the coaching staff is not being given to a black man. That is my issue. And what I'm failing to understand is that are there no black men or women that are capable enough of running an offense at Colorado in the Pac-12? 0284 Dre, coming to you.
Hey, what's up, man? The problem I had with it is it's all HBCU coaches because you can't help everybody, and he doesn't have a relationship with everybody. You know, so now can he help the ones on his staff? Absolutely. I personally didn't have a problem with his DC and OC because you can easily say Charles Kelly has been voted the best recruiter in the nation. There's only one of them, you know. So obviously he has a relationship. And also, we know the Power 5 is all about recruiting. Deion can't always recruit everybody, so you need somebody who at least is on the same par recruiting-wise. So you got there's some people on his staff who's never been out of their home state. And so it's almost like, okay, you got your media company. You just can't go run ESPN just because you have a media company. You at least have to take a couple of steps and be like, okay, I need to know how this goes. So I think exposing them to the Power 5 will help them in the future, though. You know, because half of that is just being there. And you play college football, it is like foreign territory from FCS to Power 5. So, but helping everybody, nah, because you can't. I think the only HBCU coach that probably has a national name is Willie Simmons.
My question to push back, Dre, is this: How many times do black guys who start and I won't even say it as like a general statement. I'm just saying it's a lot harder for guys who. I'll give you a good example. I won't even, right? A good friend of mine, he's a friend of Eric Bieniemy, right? And he was hoping Eric Bieniemy got the job as a head coach because Eric told him, hey, listen, when I get the job, I'm going to bring you on as my OC, right? Because he knows him, they know each other. So it's a lot of that happening. But it's hard when as a black man, are you not doing that for? Why are we not doing that for each other? And people can say half his staff is black, right? I can give you that. I can say, yeah, that's a financial change in somebody's life. So I'm not discrediting that. But we're talking about matriculation. We're talking about opportunity. We're not talking about financial gain. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about opportunity. And usually, hold up.
Okay.
You as an A&T grad, right? If I come to you and I say, yo, my son wants to get into A&T, and you're like, yo, my homeboy does admissions. Yo, I got you. That's enough.
I actually know somebody in the missions.
You see what I'm saying? That's a hookup.
Yeah.
Because you're in that, you know somebody, or you're in that position, so I can help you out. When Dion gets in that position, he helps out financially. But if we're talking about matriculation, how is a quality control analyst supposed to become a defensive coordinator?
Well, you know what? This is where I'll push back on you. I would say like this. If he wins, and we'll say his track record is winning, they're now in a network of Power 5 coaches, of getting to know people and all that. Because half of that is just being in the room. If Sean Lewis, or I know Hart is like one of the top 30 assistant coaches you should look at. If Hart gets, let's say, a group of 5 job, who's he probably going to pull from? The analysts that he's been working with, the people like that. Like even Coach Flea has even said, like, sometimes you have to get into that room. So yeah, they have to. I find it hard to believe that we'll use Dancy, who's an analyst, who's probably never been outside of his state, is ready for a Power 5 DC job.
I didn't say him. I just said black guy. I didn't say him.
Yeah. Okay.
You're Dion.
Okay, so you're saying black guy in general.
I'm just talking about black, because that's what.
Okay. You're not saying HBCU.
Listen to me. If you're gonna go get an HBCU guy, like the only person I'm getting is Willie Simmons as an OC, and I might get Fred McNair for my DC.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
so you're saying black in general.
I'm just talking about black.
Like, okay.
If you want to talk about, if you want to get specific with HBCU coaches having the opportunity to move up, you could have reached out to Trey Oliver. You could have reached out you could have reached out to who else? Who else is a good defensive mind? Cedric Thornton.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
but now can they recruit nationally? Because you know what you have. Say what you want. You know what that Alabama tree has probably bear grapefruit.
No, that's not.
So you know what you.
That's not true. That's not true. Other than Kirby Smart, name another assistant off that tree that has been successful.
Well, he hasn't been ahead. Well, I mean, what's the guy that Sarkisian just took the Texas job?
He failed at USC. He got an hold up.
But he got his second job.
Hold up. He failed at USC. He went to Alabama to clean himself off for Nick Saban to give him the seal of approval, and then he got the Texas job. What are we talking about? He failed, and then a white man gave him an opportunity to be the OC, and then he went to Texas.
I agree with you, but I'm just saying that. It's to me, it's hard to argue against Charles Kelly when he has been coaching for so long, and he's like the number one recruiter.
This is great
because you got to find. They may be able to do the job X and O's wise, but do they have the name recognition? Do they have the connects to be able to do national? Because the X's and O's is probably easy, but nationally, you're gonna have to convince me that they can recruit nationally.
Bro, the only half you y'all niggas be out here just talking. Listen, Charles Kelly is a great recruiter because he has the brand of Alabama behind him. That ain't hard. It's not hard for me to walk
Right.
into a school and say, hey, I'm Alabama. Do you want to come? It ain't hard. What's hard about that?
Right. But he brings that brand and them relationships with him. He brings it with him. But that's where I disagree with Stephen A. is him helping out all HBCU coaches, because you can't. You really only can help the ones that you have a relationship with. And I think the ones who he's brought with him, I think they'll do good, and I think they'll be better for it just being attached to him. It's like being attached to LeBron, or being attached to anybody. It's like being attached to Brady, or anybody who's big, being attached to Jordan, being attached to Steph. Somebody like Deion being attached to him could probably do nothing but good for him. So, but it's all going to depend on whether they win or not. Because if they win, I believe everybody's going to win.
All right, man. Appreciate the call, though, Dre. This is my thing, right? Mike Locksley failed at his previous stint. Most of these guys just went to Nick Saban, so Nick Saban can say, hey, they're cool. You should give them another chance. And then they move on. That's what it is. That's literally all Nick Saban does, right? Nick Saban gets fallen coaches who have been previously head coaches. Lane Kiffin had been around his dad is Monty Kiffin, the creator of Tampa 2. So it's not like he didn't know what coaching was. All Nick Saban does is get fallen coaches, other than Kirby Smart, fallen coaches to come to Alabama, dust them off. Thank you. Saban is rehab for coaches. That's all he does. That's literally all Saban does is rehab coaches and say, give them another chance, and they get another chance. Rocky, coming to you.
Hey, what's up, my brother? You know I don't allow that prime slander, but y'all done veered off the reservation a little bit, and y'all talking about coaching and coaching opportunities, right? So, as it relates to prime. So here's the deal, man. I remember me and this guy that coaches college football now, named Dino Babers. We used to go to the same barber here in Waco when he worked at Baylor, right? With the same barber, we used to have conversations, right? Super cool dude, nice guy, whatever. When he got the job at Eastern Illinois, his coordinators were white. When he got the job at Bowling Green, his coordinators were white. When he got the job at Syracuse, guess what his coordinators were?
White.
And guess who was his coordinators? Sean Lewis, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my point is saying all this is this, right? Black coaches, when they get opportunities, they very seldom give those opportunities to black dudes. I know Prime has been wanting to get into coaching. For at least 5 years before he got the job at Jackson State. Because I'm here in Texas, I hear about Prime Academy, Truth, all these different things. Nobody reached out to Prime, as far as I know, to offer him a division. Matter of fact, let me tell you what. What's his name was going to give him a job at Florida State? What's the boy name that ended up going to FAU, ended up getting fired at Florida State?
Taggart.
Taggart was going to give him a job. Florida State gave him the business because he didn't have a degree, so he went and got one. Didn't no life raft come get Prime, right? He ended up having to create his own opportunity to get into coaching. And he did so, and he brought some people along with him, man. Didn't no black coaches, or white coaches for that matter, reach back and try to invite Prime into the coaching profession. And I remember when he got hired at Jackson State, a lot of people in the coaching profession resented the fact that he was given a head coaching job with absolutely no head coaching experience at the college level. So he don't owe the coaching profession or the coaching fraternity nothing. He should do what's in the best interest of Prime as he is running a Colorado program. He don't have a tree that he fell off of and a whole bunch of relationships that he got to reach back and pull guys up and give guys opportunity. So, Scotty, I dig what you're saying. Under best case scenario, yeah, you would want him to give those positions to black guys, right? But at the end of the day, man, he has no obligation to do that as far as I'm concerned because he wasn't given that opportunity. And the last thing I want to say about that, too, and related to that, is that I think it was a bit hyperbolic what Stephen A. Smith said when he said Prime is going to give other HBCU coaches opportunity. Now, that part of it I don't agree with because I believe Prime is seen as something else. I don't think he's seen as an HBCU coach. He's seen as a celebrity. He's seen as a almost an icon, right? That got into coaching. And used his momentum as an icon and a legend to create a coaching opportunity for himself, and it panned out, right? So again, man, I'm a Prime guy. Y'all know I'm a Prime head. I'm unapologetic about it. I hope he does great things, right? But Prime don't owe black coaches nothing. He don't owe white coaches nothing. He created that out. The only person he owes something is Ashley Robinson. That's the only person that I go back and get if I had a spot for him. Assistant AD or whatever, I would get Ashley Robinson. Well, Ashley Robinson was the only person with the courage to hire him as a head coach and give him that opportunity.
This is the only part I disagree with you on, Rocky, is because Deion has made the notion of his success at going to Colorado is the better for black head coaches. He's made that. You know what I'm saying?
I think it is, though. I think a black face in that position helps black men and the perception of black men. Don't get me wrong.
I don't think white people look at it the same, right? Because white people don't look at it as a black face because he's Deion Sanders, right? So white people see it as
he's OJ, huh?
Yeah, like okay. You're not black. He Deion. It's different. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, he black, but he not black. You know what I'm saying? Like he Deion Sanders. It's different. So you know what I'm saying? He's an outlier. You know what I'm saying? He is
absolutely, Scott.
He's his own
absolutely.
person.
He's an outlier, and that's why, in my opinion, check this here out. When you give a guy a $6 million a year job or a $5 million a year job, what the guy Rick gave him, right?
Yeah.
I believe that Rick has relationships because he's been in the athletic sphere for a number of years. He probably knew Charles Kelly wanted to get out. He probably knew Sean Lewis was looking for an opportunity at a Power 5 school, right? And it may have come, the opportunity that he gave Deion may have come with those connections that already existed, man. Charles Kelly been around. He's been in some of the biggest schools in the country. So some of the most successful programs all over the nation, man. So he's a well-connected and well-known coach, right? And so my point is saying is, man, I think ultimately Prime had to do, when he took that job, and this is just the last thing I'm going to say about it, when he took that job, he was obligated not only to do what's in the best interest of himself by taking the job, but I think he was committed to doing what's in the best interest of the program at Colorado, period. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not for black people, not for black coaches, but he was going to do what was in the best interest of the Colorado program. That's what he was committed to do. And for $5 million a year, I believe that's what he should do. He should not go on a platform trying to promote black coaches, promote black people, if it's going to compromise the program at Colorado. Much love, man.
I appreciate
Keep doing what you're doing, man. I'll sit back and listen.
No problem. Let me see. I see a lot of new faces. If you're a member, put your last four in the chat. If you're a member, put the last four in the chat so I can get you. 1173, you're live.
Hey, what's going on, man?
What's going on? What's your name? Where you calling from?
Herschel calling from McAllen, Texas, down here by the border here.
Talk to me.
All right, man. Yes, sir, man. Thanks for having me on. Okay, so I have to say something, man. The fact that you guys are calling Deion Sanders, comparing him to O.J. Simpson, that dude's a walking embodiment of a black man, dude. The guy, did you see the sidelines the other day? It was brothers all over the place. I've never seen that in Colorado since I've been there. Like everything that he's bringing training staff. He's bringing like everything.
Listen to what I'm saying.
It's black up there.
Hold on. Listen what I'm saying. I'm not saying Deion is not black. I said the way white people view him is not black, right? Like he's acceptable black because he's Deion Sanders, right?
But he's still a black man, though.
Listen, man. We know he's a black man. He's acceptable at the way he is because he's Deion Sanders. And listen to it.
But,
hold up.
Okay.
Hold up. If you put any other coach in the position and let them do what Deion is doing, they would not allow that because they're not what? Say it with me. Deion Sanders. It's a difference, but go ahead.
Can I rebuttal?
Yeah, as I said, go ahead.
So, if he doesn't live up to those expectations, guess what they do? Guess what they're going to do? They're going to fire his black behind. So, at the end of the day, if he doesn't get the job done, it doesn't matter if he's Deion, it doesn't matter if he's primetime, they're going to get rid of him. Right now, they're crucifying him because he got rid of a lot of players.
That's any coach.
They're crucifying him because obviously if it's Nick Saban or if it's Kirby Smart, they can get away with it. But because it's Deion Sanders, they're saying he's flamboyant.
Once again, Nick Saban doesn't act like Deion. Whoever else you said doesn't act like Deion. Deion is allowed to move with a flamboyancy. Why? Because that's who Deion Sanders is, right? As a black man, most black men are very vocal, very strong, very, in your face. You know what I'm saying? But we cannot move like that because we're not Deion Sanders. So you have to move with a certain etiquette that Deion Sanders does not. Now I agree with you. He gonna be a fired black man if he sucks. That's any coach. That's any coach. White, black, Puerto Rican, brown, striped. It don't matter. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is the leeway that he's given in the beginning is only because he is Deion Sanders, and that Deion Sanders trumps blackness, right? And I know that sounds like what? But I'm trying to say, if he was just a regular black coach, he would not be allowed to move that way.
If he was Sylvester Croom or somebody, he would have been canned a long time ago. I get it. Okay, one more thing.
Go ahead.
One more thing. Okay, I have noticed this since Deion Sanders has made the transition. A lot of HBCU people are very bitter, very angry about him leaving a okay situation to a better situation. And I think because he is Deion Sanders, he is shining a light and giving opportunities not to only just regular inspiring coaches, but ex-NFL football players that know the game, that played the game, to have an opportunity to translate over as a college football coach. And I think that is amazing. I think that's been swept under the rug, man.
Let me say this, right? Let me say this. I would love to see a former NFL player walk into a Power 5 program with no college experience and get a head coaching job.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen? Okay.
This is the first domino. This is the biggest domino of that to fall. And it's going to happen sooner rather than later. But Deion's going to have to win some freaking games this year, and he's going to have to go to at least a respectable December bowl game next year, especially with the players that supposedly he's supposed to get.
We shall
in order
see.
For that to happen.
I would not bet my bottom dollar, but okay. Man, listen, I appreciate the call, man. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you, man. Absolutely.
Let me see where we're going next. See some new callers on here. Let me go 7450. All right, I see everybody on here. 3441, 1410, 0527. I see y'all. I'm getting to y'all. 7450 coming to you. Hey, caller, you live.
What's up, Chief?
What's goody, man? What's your name? Where you calling from?
Tommy, man. I'm from out here in Mississippi.
Talk to me.
Yeah, man. As far as the whole Prime Colorado situation, I do understand why he did hire those guys. The thing you're saying is I would have liked to see some brothers get that opportunity to be in those positions. That's kind of the thing that's going on in the NFL. Airbnb should not be someone's office coordinator. Airbnb should be a head coach somewhere.
Thank you. That is my whole point. When other white men, come on, man. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yes, you're absolutely correct.
Oh yeah, but my bad. But the thing is, in our community, we also teach our young sons, hey, we have to be 2 times better than that guy. We have to go above and beyond. And, you kind of like to say, and I don't want to get racy with it, but you know,
racy.
Hey, bruh, you know, look out for me when you get up there. Look out for me when you get up there. And, you know, you kind of want to have that situation, but we also have to look in the mirror sometimes. We have to ask ourselves, are we willing to be number two? Because my question is, how many brothers would apply for that job if they was given the opportunity to that job? How many brothers would have applied for that? Because I'm like I said, I'm in here in Mississippi. I heard a lot of backroom Deion slander when he was at Jackson State. It was a lot of backroom, like, man, I'm not gonna support that brother. But it's like, come on, man, like, what we doing here? Are we saying be pro-black in one thing, and then behind closed doors we slandering each other? You know what I'm saying? Like they talk about it, this one offensive coordinator, he went from being the mailroom guy to being a doggone head coach. How many brothers you know willing to go do that?
Depends on how much they're willing to work for it. My thing is this, man. Listen, I want to be very clear. I'm not wishing like unsuccess to Deion Sanders because, like I said, without
I know you keeping it straightforward, and like I said, I understand that part.
Without Deion even coming to the SWAC, there is no Offscript, right? So I see what it is. My thing is this. All I'm saying is that when you're in the position to change, and listen, two things can be true. He could have changed. He changed a lot of black coaches' lives financially, right? The guys he been riding with since Pop Warner and all those leagues, he brought them with them the whole way, right? To all the way to Power 5. So they're getting life-changing money. But what I am addressing is the opportunity to matriculate through the coaching system. And that usually happens at an OC position and a DC position. And all I'm saying is that you couldn't have found one black person to have been in that position. That's all I'm saying as a black man. That's it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, I understand that part, but you know, my biggest issue is we don't know about those guys. They don't get highlighted. And you know, I want to know about the more of the up and coming Byron Leftwiches. We don't know about these guys because they always been relegated to a staffer. So when, you know, someone has to start highlighting these guys to me like, hey, man, this dude here, he got it.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate the call. Hey, let me say this. The show is not about Deion per se, right? The comment was made.
Now, because if primetime goes and all of a sudden he puts Colorado in a national championship picture, what about the next great HBCU coach?
That is the topic. It's not necessarily about Deion. It's Stephen A. Smith saying that Deion being great at Colorado opens the door for other HBCU coaches / black coaches, and I completely disagree.
He's opening up the doors of opportunities for future African Americans who want to coach on the highest levels. Think about the big picture. There isn't a black person alive that should not be rooting for primetime Deion Sanders to see.
That is the point, okay? So now you guys are talking about Deion Sanders and what he made the decision of. That is his prerogative. I already made that statement. I don't agree not hiring a black person for your OC or DC. That's neither here nor there. But Stephen A. Smith, because I want to get this topic back on track. Stephen A. Smith saying that Deion Sanders matriculating from the SWAC to Power 5 is supposed to help HBCU coaches or black coaches is irrelevant. It is not true. Because, right? Why doesn't he have a Power 5 job? FAMU was asked before Willie Simmons got there. Why doesn't he have a Power 5 job? The only person he lost to was Prom. He lost to Prom once by one. The second time got murdered. Okay? Right? Next one. McNair. How does he not have a Power 5 job? How does he not have a Group of 5 job? Consistent winner at Alcorn. And it's Alcorn. Nothing but cows. Okay? And even also, Rod Broadway. Probably one of the most winningest coaches, right? 125-45. Why was he never given a Power 5 head coaching job, a Group of 5 head coaching job? It's things like this when people say stuff, when there have been successful black coaches from HBCUs. So now all of a sudden, Dion being a one of one is supposed to change the landscape of HBCU football. Don't see it happening. 34-41 coming to you. Hey, calling you live.
Hey, what's up? This Corey's, man, out of Mississippi.
What's up, man? Talk to
me. All right. What I'm gonna say about this is first of all, let's just I'm just gonna throw something out there. Okay, let's go with prime time going to Colorado. Prime time going to Colorado. Okay, that was a big step. He took a lot of black coaches with him. Okay, as far as the offensive coordinator, the defensive coordinator. Okay. All right, if he's going off up in there, there's no way he's gonna bring all black coaching staff off up to Colorado. You think they were gonna let that go? No, they were not gonna let that go. Now, he's going off up in there with a program that was 1-11 last year. If you go off in there with a program that's 1-11, what did he do? He went out and got one of the top offensive coordinators within the country, one of the top defensive coordinators within the country. Yeah, they were white, okay, but he's trying to win. He can't do anything to help anybody out unless he wins these first 2 seasons. If he go in there and win these first 2 seasons, the offensive coordinator going to probably leave next year. If they have a good season this year, the offensive coordinator is probably going to leave this year. So I'm sure he's grooming somebody there now to take his place. And some of those personnel that he might be grooming are black coaches. Same thing with the defensive coordinator. If they win and they're successful, they're going to bounce and take a head coaching job somewhere. Now, I'm not understanding all the frustration that people are having about the situation. With stephenASmith, I take it with a grain of salt. What he says, I take it with a grain of salt. Because it's not Dion's job to open doors for other black coaches. Other black coaches got to put themselves off in positions to open the doors themselves. They might have to take a door.
You sound like a white man. You sound like a white man. You sound like a white man say, hey, man, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, man. All you got to do is comply. Just comply, my boy. That's what you sound like right now. Continue.
I'm not saying comply. I'm saying you might take a job that may be beneath you in order to move up. See, that's the problem with a lot of the coaches is that
white people don't have to do that.
Go ahead.
White coaches don't have to do that. They don't. Most white coaches do not have. If they've been a head coach, most white coaches do not have to take a job that's beneath them. And beneath them is not going from FCS head coach, to a Power 5 OC. That is not beneath any of these coaches, I don't believe. Now, if a coach feels like they deserve an opportunity to be a head coach, that's them, right? But come on, man. Like, you're telling me that a coach from the FCS. Go ahead.
Let's take it out football. Let's take it out football for a second. Everywhere, every job in this country that a black man goes off into, he's not given the opportunity where he's supposed to be given that. You might have to take a position. You have to take a position up under that job in order to move up. Up under the level that you're up on. You have to take a job below that in order to move up. It's called progression.
Okay. So let me get this straight. If you were, let's say you are a graphic designer, right? You're the head graphic designer at a company. You would take an assistant role from being a head graphic designer?
If that assistant role pays more than the job that I was at, yes.
So, or you have the other option to just say, hey, I'll wait till I get an offer to be a head graphic designer. Now, I agree with you in a certain sense of, like, sometimes you just want to get your foot in the door, right? So if you're a head graphic designer and then Nike comes to you and says, hey, we'll offer you an assistant head or assistant graphic designer, you're like, oh shoot, let me get up in Nike and see if I can move my way up on Nike and become the head graphic designer. I get you on that. But my thing is, a lot of these coaches aren't even given the opportunities, because a lot of people, somebody in the chat said, oh, strength of schedule and this. Deion played the same schools that everybody else played. Make that make sense. And he didn't dominate. He didn't beat every school by 20. He didn't beat every school by 30. He beat Alcorn by 10. He beat FAMU by 1. I mean, he murdered them the next year, but he beat them by 1 the first year. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, he didn't beat every team by 20 and 30. They're playing the same teams. So how all of a sudden does Deion's resume look so much better than everybody else?
Why? Because he has his own brand. Deion is a brand. He's a brand. He's an established brand. And with that established brand, it's going to bring money from all different directions, because people are going to say, hey, I want to invest off of that. That's what the colleges, that's what Colorado was basically looking at. Okay, look at what he did down at Jackson State. Can he bring that same revenue off of Colorado?
So my question then goes back to Stephen A. Smith. How does somebody who's a one-of-one open the doors for other HBCU coaches? That is the question, and that is what I disagree with. So that is my question to you. You just said he has a brand. How does somebody one-of-one open the door for other HBCU coaches and black coaches? Make that make sense.
Make that make sense. Okay, prime example. The coaches that he brought there with him right now. Don't you think those coaches are going to eventually move up into maybe the offense coordinator or defense coordinator job? It's a possibility that may happen. May happen sooner than possible. When those coaches there leave, now you can do what? Bring other coaches, some of the other coaches, the coaches that you just named, off up into that same scenario. And then, hey, they come in, they maybe be what? The linebacker coach, but work on their defense coordinating skills at the Power 5 level.
Sir,
does that make sense?
Maybe you missed the question.
I did not miss the question.
You missed it. How? Listen very closely. How does Deion, being the one-of-one, help coaches that are currently in HBCU move up to Power 5? How does that work? If he was a one-of-one with a brand, and you just said the other coaches don't have brands, so how are they going to move up into Power 5 jobs if they're not one-of-one and have brands? That's what I'm. And how is Deion supposed to affect that? That's what I'm asking you.
I think I kind of explained that, but let me slow it down for you. Okay, first of all, I said the coaches that he have there, the black coaches that he have right there now, maybe the linebacker coach, the defensive back coach, and all those personnel can put themselves into a position where they can take over the defensive coordinator job or the offensive coordinator job. Now you got vacancies. Now you can bring those other coaches from the black colleges over there to take those positions. And then when those personnel put themselves in those personnel that's in the offensive coordinator job and defensive coordinator job, they can prove themselves where they can take a job at another Power 5 school. Therefore, the cycle keep going through where you can bring another coach over. You can bring another coach over. That's how it can open doors for them. Maybe some other colleges may see, hey, Colorado is doing so good now. Hey, some of the other colleges say, hey, we need to take a chance upon this. Nobody knows what's going to happen. I'm not going to talk down upon a man and saying that that is not a possibility that can't open doors up for him, because it's a possibility that it could. Maybe not. Maybe I'll just give it within the next 3 to 4 years, because he has to establish himself there and his coaching staff there at Colorado. He got to establish them into a position where they're looking good, and other people are taking notice of it. It's baby steps.
So
you can't set up and just.
So what if he loses? So what if he loses?
I understand what you.
So what if he loses?
There's a lot of. Go ahead.
What if he
Say
loses?
again?
What if he loses? Then what?
Well, that's on him, because he's gonna lose his job and probably never get another Power 5 job again.
Because we're talking like he's an automatic win. I'm just saying, like, because I just don't understand how one man's elevation is supposed to help a whole conference. That just doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, one man's elevation. Okay, it's not one man's elevation. One man's step to another level. It took Jackie Robinson to go into the Major League Baseball before they started getting other blacks off the Major League Baseball.
That killed the Negro League when you owned your own stuff. So that's neither here nor there. So you jump into another league, you killed the Negro League, which black people owned, and then you end up going to a white league, and now black players don't even play in Major League like that no more.
But that has nothing to do with bread. Doesn't have anything to do with the water.
What?
You're saying, okay, I'm trying to get, what do you want? What do you want?
You gave the example.
Do you want the other coaches to get head coach?
You gave the example of Jackie Robinson moving to the MLB, and I just told you Jackie Robinson moving to MLB killed the Negro League, where black people own their own stuff. So how is that a great example?
It's an example of how personnel move up. What you think is going to happen when all the black coaches start getting jobs at all the black coaches from HBCUs start getting jobs at Power 5 schools?
All right. Mr. D, coming to you. Hey, calling you live.
Got it. I just don't know what that guy was talking about. Didn't make any sense. Do people understand that Colorado had 2 black coaches before Deion? 2 black coaches. Everyone needs to understand. Colorado University is probably the only Power 5 school that has had back-to-back black coaches, period. Okay, so people got to understand the first 2 black coaches, where are they now? Typically, when you're a black coach, you have a losing season, you one and done. No other Power 5 school would pick you up to be an OC or a DC or even back to a regular coach again. So people need to stop with that. Now, the issue is Deion had to tread lightly. And if you notice, he brought everybody in their family from Jackson State and his family up to Colorado. He got everybody there. He got security. He got the trainers. Everybody there is black except the DC and the OC. And it's probably because he couldn't do it. So people got to understand now he could have gotten some other black coaches from the SWAC to do that, but he probably couldn't get it approved by the AD. So no other coaches that are black are not going to get a chance other than Deion, and that is the prime effect to go from an FCS to FBS program. So people got to understand that it's very difficult, and I don't know how he's going to do it, but in order to get more black coaches in Power 5, they got to be at the OC and the DC level. So you are correct. But I just want people to understand that Deion is the 3rd back-to-back coach at Colorado. I'll let you later.
Hey, appreciate it, Mr. D. Well, clearly Colorado loves black people. But this is my thing. Every time somebody has moved from a coordinator position to an OC or moved from an FCS to a Power 5 or whatever, it was a risk. It was a risk. Hey, right? Can you do the job? I believe in you. I'm going here. Come with me. It's a risk. Nobody just said, hey, you know what I'm saying? Oh, this, like with the example that Rocky gave, right? Giving Sean Lewis the opportunity at Syracuse was a risk. It's all a risk. Are you willing to bet on black or not? 140527 coming to you. Hey, calling you live.
Script, all right, Script, what's up, man? It's 2 for 2. This is Fan UKJ. Man, listen, I'm going to say this much. What you may call a risk, I'm going to say it's called intentional. And what do I mean by that? That means that I'm so socially conscious about what I'm doing in my position in which I am in, that it's bigger than me. Because once I'm long gone, I'm going to make the influence felt for years to come. See, this is why Tony Dungy, to me, is the greatest head football coach in NFL history for black folks. When you look at, think about this now, Jim Caldwell, Lovie Smith, Mike Tomlin, Herm Edwards, Leslie Frazier, all these brothers, Tony Dungy had and brought in and was intentional about having them on it, and all these brothers went on to be NFL head coaches. Why? Because the brother understood socially and what it meant to make sure that black coaches get an opportunity, and once they got an opportunity to see what they can do and be successful, they went on to be head coaches. But you got to be intentional. See, so many of us once we get in a position, we hear all these comments, they're scared. Oh, well, man, that's too much of a risk. Man, when you understand where you've come from and the fight to get there, you understand that once I got there, I don't want to be the only one there. And see, that's also one of the things that we also deal with. We sometimes want to be the only one. So that's why those are some of the decisions we want to hide behind and say, well, that's too much of a risk, or somebody won't. No, man, you got to be intentional.
I like it.
And you got to make sure that, man, long before and long after I'm gone, my decision making has gone on for years to affect other black coaches to be in a position. And once you do that, now that becomes something, because some of that is not being taught in the home. Being socially conscious is not taught. So sometimes you got to be the demonstration to show people this is how it's done. This is how it's done. So the word is intentional. Thank you, brother.
I like it. I like it, man. Appreciate the call. I ain't even think about it like that. That's good. That's real good. 9537 coming to you. Hey, caller, you live. 94. Okay. 1410 coming to you. Hey, caller, you live.
Hey, what's going on, Scotty? This Duke's calling out of Atlanta.
What's up, Duke? Talk to me.
Yes, sir. I kind of agree with Stephen A's bigger point that as far as blacks getting behind Deion and rooting for him, hoping that he succeeds. I kind of get what he's saying when he says that, but when he says that can lift up other HBCU coaches, I don't think that's going to happen. For one, Deion is not a true HBCU coach. Most of those guys are ingrained with being pro-black. And I think a lot of PWI schools are scared of pro-black coaches, for one. Now, if he succeeds, he may be able to elevate other black coaches who have a name already established for themselves, like i.e. Ray Lewis, that they're not scared of. But to say that you're going to bring in an HBCU coach like Cornell Maynard, I don't see it happening. Or a Alcorn State coach, McNair, I don't see that happening. Because, for one, they can't recruit like Deion. And that's what it all comes down to. Ray Lewis and guys like that can recruit. They can go in the white households, black households. It doesn't matter. Cornell Maynard can't go into everybody's household. And so I agree with Stephen A. on one point, but lifting up HBCU coaches, that's not going to happen unless Deion bring them in and build them up. And I don't think he's going to be around long enough to even do that.
I'll say this. I disagree with you. I think Cornell Maynard can go into somebody's home because at the end of the day, you're pushing a brand, right? You're pushing a school brand. See, what I think what a lot of people, when they're like, oh, this guy's recruiting and this guy, well, at the end of the day, when you walk in a school and you have a symbol on your chest that can be resonated with and can be, oh, wow, I know that school, that's half the battle, right? When you walk into a school, to me, a real good recruiter is when you walk into a school, You never seen that logo before. You don't know where that state is, and the coach get talking to you, and you're like, man, I mean, I might go to Eastern Michigan. I ain't even know where y'all located at. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, that's a great recruiter. This is my personal opinion. I'm not of the fair belief of if I walk in with a Florida State logo and I get a couple recruits that I'm a great recruiter. Like, I think what Coach Rez is doing at FAMU, that is a great recruiter. To me, that's some high level recruiting because he didn't have a prime brand before. He is literally building everything off what FAMU can give you and the fact that he has connections. You know what I'm saying? So I just look at recruiting very differently. I know a lot of people be like, hey, Scotty, you know what I'm saying? Hey, Scotty, this guy's a great recruiter. This guy's a great recruiter. But when you have the brand of Prime behind you, or you have the brand of LSU or Alabama or Auburn, it's not too hard to recruit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's half your battle.
That's half the battle. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
go ahead.
And Connell might have been a bad example, but what I was saying, people who've been instilled in HBCU culture, a lot of families kind of shy away from that. You know, not black families, but some of the other families. They may find that as being too aggressive, if I might say. You know, they already feel that way about us anyway. So, but Deion has that perfect temperament that black, white, it doesn't matter. They all like him because they feel like they know him. But he's not gonna elevate HBCUs unless he intentionally goes out there and stick around long enough to try and do it. So I don't agree with Stephen A. on that point.
That's fair. Hey, man, thank you, Mr. Dukes. I appreciate the call. I see anonymous. It might be Smoke or somebody else. What's up? Caller, you live.
What's up, Scotty? Yeah, man. The thing with what Stephen A. was saying, I disagree with that just because hiring Deion was an investment for Colorado just as it was an investment for Deion. It was just a business marriage, really. They've made all their money back damn near off the spring game just off of his initial contract if you're really thinking about it.
Easily made their money back.
But the reason I called is I just want to highlight some black coaches that are at the Power 5 level right now that aren't getting talked about. They're not from the SWAC, but they are black. We got Brennan Marion, started off at Howard with Cam Newton's little brother there, Kalen, with the go-go offense. He's last year wide receiver coach at Texas, now offensive coordinator at UNLV. We got Dominique Bowman, great defensive guy. He's now, I think, a defensive assistant D coordinator up there at Temple. Started off at like Austin P or something. So it is possible if black coaches are getting hired. I think the problem with the SWAC is a lot of the stuff that you criticize is the stuff that's holding people back. What do you say about Willie Simmons? He was one of the examples you gave up. He gonna Willie it up, correct? Same thing. You can look at it all down the board. Right now, black football is not the same. Like when you look at it from an X's and O's perspective, it's not the same as some of these other G5, Group of Five conferences. And if you're honest with yourself, you'll see that. It's very, very vanilla, very, very basic so far. Things may change. But from what we've seen, that's what it's been. Hence why Deion was able to just recruit talent, run a basic scheme,
and win. Yeah, you're right. I give you that. And to me, that makes Stephen A. Smith's point even worse. Is that the fact of the matter is that how is Deion going to change that? You know, you get what I'm saying? So you can put that back on the coaches in the SWAC, right? That's not even that you can't even put that on Deion. It's just simply putting that on the coaches in the SWAC and say, are you guys going to elevate? Are you guys going to innovate? Right? Because I'll tell you one thing, if Art Browse would have touched down in Grambling, that would have been something to see. That would have been something to see. And I would have hoped that it would have elevated everybody in the SWAC. But I agree with you. That's actually
like they gotta help themselves. I think a lot of these SWAC coaches, they gotta start recycling coaches. Like it's no way the corners coach from Alcorn should 1 year do that, not do good, and then go to Texas Southern. I think some of these coaches, they need to go look at some of these GAs that are on these staffs at some of these Power 5 schools, giving those GAs that first real chance to, prove themselves, work their way up in the coaching ranks. I think once that type of stuff happens, that's when you're really going to see progress, because those guys have been exposed to different schemes, different various things that, athletes just need, that if you ain't been there, you just don't know.
Just don't know. No, that's good. That's good. I like, what, the one thing I love about what you just said, Smoke, was just the accountability on both sides, right? The accountability of getting the opportunity and the accountability of holding the SWAC accountable to elevating, right? Even the MEAC. We can say the same thing about the MEAC.
I coached in the MEAC. Trust me, I went up to I was coaching at Howard. We went to play Maryland 1 year and got beat 79 to 7.
Jeez.
But you see why Maryland would probably never hire a coach out the MEAC?
That's fair. That's fair. I get what you're saying, though. I like that. I like the accountability on both sides. I really do. I appreciate
yes, sir,
that,
man. Appreciate your time, bro.
Man, appreciate the call. I think that was great. That was great. I like that. You know what I'm saying? There's blame on both sides, right? It's blame on the SWAC and these ADs not going out and finding talent, going to get a guy in the D2 level who is immaculate, or hiring a white coach. I would prefer a black guy, you know what I'm saying? Just give the opportunity, but you get what I'm saying. But just maybe a black guy who didn't go to an HBCU. How about that? Right? Going to a black guy who didn't go to an HBCU, or a black guy who graduated from Montana and is an assistant coach somewhere, you know what I'm saying? And has been around, like stuff like that. 1296 coming to you. Last caller. Hey, caller, you live.
The conference has been locked.
1296, you live. All righty. In this. Listen, at the end of the day, man, let me say this. At the end of the day, is this for me. And I appreciate everybody who called, even the guy I had to hang up on. I appreciate everybody that called. I'm gonna say this, man. Overall, for Stephen A. Smith, this is fanboy. Because if you actually just sat back and actually just did a little research, which we know you really just are an NBA guy, right? You're really just an NBA guy. But if you just do a little research, you'll see that there are winning coaches, right? And even the guy that I had to hang up on, he made a good point. Are you willing to go to a Power 5 or a group of 5 and not be a head coach? Go as a defensive coordinator. Go as an OC. You know what I'm saying? So that is a legitimate ask. That is a legitimate point. Are you willing to downsize, right, to downgrade your position to be in a position to move? This Do white coaches do that? They do. Do white coaches have to do that all the time? They don't. But this is the game you want to play in. Sometimes you got to politic. I'm not a fan of it, but sometimes you got to do it. All right? So that just is what it is. Uh-oh. Now if anybody gonna know, is this guy right here, okay? If anybody gonna know, is my guy Coach KJ right now with the LA Rams. He gonna know, right? So, and if that's the case, then what are you supposed to do? If I'm a head coach in the SWAC, I'm not going to a Power 5 to be a running back coach. You know what I'm saying? Now the money could be good. The money could be real good. You know what I'm saying? But you see what I'm saying? The money's gonna be real good, but then it goes into how likely are you going to move up being the running back coach, right? How likely are you going to move up being the wide receiver coach? You know what I'm saying? Like that's the realistic job. That's the realistic question, is how likely are you going to be able to matriculate up, right? And then it usually becomes, once again, like that guy I hung up on, or Dre, like Dre said, right? I go to University of Miami as a running back coach. I'm good friends with the OC. Me and the OC, we kick it off. We cool, right? He goes and gets a job somewhere else. He's like, yo, Scott, come with me. You know, you could be my OC there. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So that's usually how it happens. Right? That's usually how it happens. So it's just like, you know, my boy hooking my boy up, and, you know, I'm here. That's my guy and things like that, man. So, because I'll tell you a story. I won't say no names, but I reached out to a coach. I reached out to coach in the SWAC, right? And I have a cousin that coaches. He's a defensive coordinator at a lower level division. I knew he was going to get a job, right? I reached out to him. I said, hey, I know you're about to get this job. Do you mind just interviewing my cousin? I didn't ask not one. I said, hey, just interview him. You know what I'm saying? Just give him an interview. See if you like him. Da. Oh, yeah. Okay, Scott, no problem. You know, what's his name? Okay, cool. Got the job. Didn't even interview my guy. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you know, nah, man, everything's filled up. I'm like, bro, I came to you before you even got the job. But once again, that's how it works. I know him. That's my guy. That's my man's. Because what I'm seeing as a head coach, you just want people around you that you feel you can trust, right? So a lot of coaches don't bring on new guys because they don't want to be in a situation where I feel like I'm getting backstabbed, or I don't know their work ethic and all those type of things. So you get a lot of that. So it is what it is, man. You try to keep people close to you that you can trust, and that's tough. But at the end of the day, man, it is what it is. I don't agree with Stephen A. Smith. Think he might want to stay out this lane, but that's just my just personal opinion. But listen, until next time. Well, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. All right, man. I've been running these shows back to back to back. I know we were supposed to do Bet Big today, but I really wanted to do this segment. But Bet Big is coming back. Okay, we're gonna talk about the fight. We're gonna talk about NBA basketball and some HBCU stuff. So Bet Big is coming back. Okay, so just stick with us. All right. So listen, until next time, you know what I'm gonna do. I'm a holler. God bless.